John Fetterman was in his Senate primary's final stretch. The campaign schedule grew tighter. Everyone watched him. Could he win this crucial election? Just days before voting, he suddenly had a stroke. Fetterman later explained why. His heart had been in AFib for a long time. A heart clot traveled to his brain. A disaster that starts in the brain might hide in the chest. The most chilling part about this? AFib doesn't always cause intense pain. Some just feel their heart race or skip beats. Others feel nothing at all. They still work and attend meetings, until one day, a clot blocks a brain artery. Only then do they realize their heart had been planting a landmine. I'm Yiwen Zhenxiang, a medical blogger focused on science. Today, let's make this clear. Why does AFib quietly trigger a stroke? Why do people who feel their heart is fine get suddenly struck down? First, don't view AFib as just a fast heartbeat. The real problem isn't speed, it's order. Normally, the heart runs a strict relay. The two atria contract first, pushing blood into the ventricles. The ventricles pump blood to the body. This sequence seems simple, but it prevents blood from swirling uselessly. When AFib happens, the electrical activity in the atria goes haywire. The atria, which should contract neatly, turn into a quivering, ineffective mess. It's not pushing blood forward, it's just shaking in place. If it were just shaking, nothing truly scary would happen. But blood flow slows and becomes turbulent, especially in the left atrium, a corner shaped like a little ear, the left atrial appendage. In AFib conditions, slow, chaotic blood flow makes clots likely to form there. This clot starts with no pain, no sound. It doesn't wait for your heart to race. It can form after an AFib episode, or grow bit by bit during repeated episodes. When it breaks off and leaves the heart, it enters the cruelest part of the journey. Blood from the heart enters the aorta, then branches to the whole body. If it travels to arteries feeding the brain, it acts like a perfectly sized plug, wedging at a narrowing vessel fork. Blood flow suddenly stops. Brain tissue starts starving for oxygen. A stroke happens. So many think stroke means dirty brain vessels. High cholesterol clogs arteries. That's one common path, but not the only one. A more hidden scenario. Brain vessels may not have problems first. The blockage flew in from the heart. Medicine calls this cardioembolic stroke, and AFib is a major source of that risk. This explains a common misunderstanding. Why do people without chest pain or breathlessness, even with no serious heart disease history, suddenly have a stroke? The answer isn't a lack of warning signs. The signs were just too mild or brief, or never caught at all. AFib causes palpitations, tightness, and fatigue, like the heart skipping a few beats, but some feel none of this. Worse, AFib can be paroxysmal. It flares up today, returns to normal tomorrow. You go for an ECG, and miss that exact window. The result may look normal. A normal ECG doesn't rule out AFib entirely. Nor does every occasional palpitation mean AFib. It's just a clue. Whether you need more tests, ECG, Holter, or other checks, is for a doctor to decide based on age, conditions, and history. Fetterman's Shitori is worth remembering. Not because a politician's illness is dramatic, but because he highlights a common risk. On the table, atria in chaos, blood flow slowing, clot forming, clot entering the brain. It damages speech, movement, and memory. Brain tissue can't survive without blood. When a major brain artery is blocked, areas controlling speech, movement, and vision fail. Can lose function in minutes. You see someone chatting normally 1 second, then slurring the next. Holding a cup 1 second, then unable to lift an arm the next. Or a drooping face, blurred vision, walking lie on cotton. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just unable to finish a sentence, or hearing what family says, but unable to understand it. Here, be clear, these signs don't mean you can diagnose a stroke at home. Migraines, low blood sugar, seizures, and other issues can mimic them. But if there's sudden facial drooping, one-sided limb weakness or numbness, slurred speech, vision changes, or unsteady walking, treat it as a stroke alarm. Call 120 immediately. Don't wait for it to pass. Don't drive to find a friend first. Don't drink water or take a nap. Because what fools people most is when symptoms go away. Some recover after minutes or 10-something minutes. Is blaming fatigue or blood pressure? Or poor sleep? But this brief neurological episode needs urgent medical evaluation. It could be the brain's early warning, not a sign you're safe. At this point, many ask, if I have AFib, should I take blood thinners? Don't oversimplify this. Stroke risk varies for every AFib patient. Age, history, prior stroke, or transient ischemic attack, hypertension, diabetes, heart failure, vascular disease all change the risk. Anticoagulants also raise bleeding risk. What doctors do. Proper anticoagulation prevents strokes against the risk of bleeding. Decide on anticoagulation and follow up with a doctor. For eligible AFib patients, standard anticoagulation is key to preventing stroke. But the key words are eligible and proper. Anticoagulants aren't supplements. You can't buy them yourself. Don't stop them just because you feel normal. Especially with mechanical heart valves, rheumatic mitral stenosis, or kidney issues, or when taking other medications, the plan can be different. Another myth, swapping in aspirin for anticoagulants. Antiplatelets and anticoagulants aren't the same. Whether you need one, or even both, isn't something to guess. For AFib-related stroke prevention, the key isn't your medicine cabinet. It's getting the cause and risk assessed. So what can ordinary people do? Don't dismiss persistent palpitations, clearly irregular heartbeats, unexplained fatigue, or declining stamina as just anxiety or late nights, especially with hypertension, diabetes, obesity, sleep apnea, or heart failure, or a history of stroke or TIA. It's worth telling your doctor. For those already diagnosed with AFib, the real long-term task isn't waiting for palpitations. It's regular follow-ups, risk assessment, managing blood pressure and other conditions, and reporting missed doses or new symptoms to your doctor promptly. AFib management isn't just one heart rate number. Finally, remember one simple, critical move. Face suddenly droops, one arm suddenly weak, speech suddenly slurred. Don't make excuses. Don't wait. Call 120 now, Fetterman said publicly. He hadn't taken his body's signals seriously. He kept pushing forward. Many people know AFib but ignore it, thinking, I'm fine right now. But AFib's most dangerous moment can come when everything feels normal. An irregular heartbeat may not knock you down, but that little dead zone in blood flow can silently build into a stroke. Understanding this path from heart to brain isn't to turn every palpitation into fear. It's so that when a real alarm sounds, you don't brush it off as trivial.